Next up, I wanted to show you dynamic grouping and dynamic measures. Traditionally speaking, these are not insight or dashboard filters, but the experience of how you interact with them may have some similarities. For example, selecting a dynamic group or a dynamic measure may result in rows being removed or columns being added, and thus the user has the opportunity to manipulate the insight. So we're going to take a quick sidebar and take a look at that. Over here in Encorta, I'm going to open up and edit this aggregated table. Now, the one thing that I should mention, I believe we showed this quickly, but I haven't touched on it in depth, is this settings option over here on the top right. This settings panel is going to configure the entire insight setting itself. So if you can never find a configuration within a grouping pill or a measure pill, you can come over here and get the insight level information. Stuff like, do you want the x-axis or y-axis formatted a certain way? If that was an insight chart, you would have that option available. And that's probably a good point to mention here, is that this settings panel is going to vary based on the type of insight being used, because the settings are going to be specific to different types of insights. Now back here over at the aggregated table, let's go ahead and turn on dynamic group by. Okay, and you'll see that as a result, I've had my category condensed down, my product subcategory has disappeared. We're going to go back to the dashboard just to show you what that looks like. Over here on the dashboard, I have my dynamic grouping implemented. You can see everything is grouped by category. I do have my filter on. We'll go ahead and remove that so you can see everything. But you'll notice by selecting it, I can choose to group by product subcategory, a complete change in granularity, or I can group by both of them. So by adding the dynamic grouping, you're allowing the end user to really control how the groups display. We're going to go back and show you the same idea with measure. In this case, we're going to bring in another measure here, cost. Go to the settings tray and select dynamic measures. In this case, you'll have an additional option of what you want to display by default. Would you only like revenue displayed, only cost, or both? You could choose here. In this case, all is going to be the default, or you can select revenue and cost. Let's just leave it revenue for now. Now back in the dashboard, you'll see that option, very similar to the grouping, dynamic grouping option here. You can go to revenue, select cost so you can see both of those fields, remove revenue if so desired, or go ahead and reset to the default view. Before continuing any further, make sure you go back to that insight and remove those dynamic group by and measures, as we're going to continue to build on this dashboard without those.